segment. It's your boy, Elvis Duah, aka DJ More Life. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about freedom. I mean, the importance of freedom, what it means to have freedom, and how freedom is essential to, our well-being as human beings. Because, I mean, today we are sort of confused about, you know, what is essential and what is not essential. Our freedom is essential on a daily basis. Now, the thing about freedom comes with a will, a free will. As human beings, right, those who believe in democracy, which is about 98% of the world, the reason why everybody decided to choose democracy is because democracy have a few basic foundation things that we all agree on. For example, we agree that we're all different, right? And just because we're different doesn't make us strange, doesn't make us weird. It makes us special, the type of special that brings new change to others. It brings different types of answers to other people. Because, I mean, think about it. You are living your life. You come from a different type of culture. Now, this culture, right, is accustomed to the things that they have experienced, the environment that they live in, the foods that they're exposed to, the type of entertainment that they create based on their habitats, based on, memories that they have created and bonded throughout their lives. And this has been generations after generations. So essentially, everybody sort of understands that, it's not said, but freedom is something that we don't need to pay for. That is one of the main reasons for democracy, is freedom becomes essentially a price that is God-given. And so we, as the human race, understand that anybody that is born on this earth has the right to choose, has the right to, choose their own path. Why? Because we don't have the rights of creation. We did not create them. Now, if you have a patent on your creation or whatever you created, you can then essentially, destroy it if you didn't have no use for it, because you have full 100% ownership. But a lot of people don't have such ownership, especially when it comes to owning humans, right? Human beings are not supposed to be bought or sold because we are God's creation. Now, you might say, well, everything's God's creation. Yes, everything God created, but there's rules that are put in place for specific creations. And the authority that is given to such creation allows, you to be able to progress and do what you do and decide and make decisions. We came from one creator. Now we are fighting amongst ourselves about what we should do, in order for freedom to come back to the world. This is not a problem only in Canada, but this is a worldwide problem. However, other world leaders have you know, have analyzed the data, have analyzed, all the commotion and all the blowbacks, because it doesn't help society. The longer we fight, the longer we, we look for other answers other than peace, the longer we decide not to, you know, that we're not going to understand each other. We're just gonna always, you know, say our point of view and just walk away. These are problems that will hinder us from moving forward. You see, what I believe is we are all entitled to do what is best for us. If we are to be protected, then others that don't want to be protected, right? Or they see themselves in a different way where they don't choose certain agendas or certain, you know, sort of games or play, right? If they don't choose that sector of change, this should not be a problem where we resort to, rude behavior, racial slurs, like all kinds of things. There is nothing, no situation in the world that is not discussed with voice. It's not discussed with voice. Everything is talked about. We need to debate this. That's what we need to do. And we need to debate the facts. Because if we are going to get to the bottom of everything, we have to debate the facts. If we can't debate the facts, then it's not worth fighting over for. Because we are all here to learn. Doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a judge. Everybody has their field that they take. And so everybody can say their form of, right, leader, a form of professional advisor in their field because of the qualifications they possess. But when it comes to human life, that sector is fragile because that sector belongs to all humans. And so despite what is taking place in the world, we have the right to decide on what we choose or what we want to do next. Because if we don't have the opportunity to make this, heard, we're going to go back to the dark ages where we had segregation between black and whites, right? It's Black History Month. I mean, whatever took place in history, right, has taken place. There's a lot of back and forth, back and forth. Let's not bring it back again with all these things that's being put in place. I think our solution should be simple. If, doctors have said vaccines work, if doctors have said vaccines work, and others that don't agree with it, those who want to choose to take it, they should, because it works and it's supposed to protect you fully or gives you a better protection than those who has not taken it, right? This is very simple. So then, if those who don't take it, right, those who have taken it should have enough antidote, right, that they have taken to be able to protect themselves. It should not be that they have to worry about others that have not taken it, because the whole point of taking it is to protect yourself from everything else or anybody else that hasn't taken it. And if that is correct, then we need to analyze how we make decisions. because we have to make decisions based on common sense, right? Scientific common sense. A lot of the, what's it called, data is there. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a doctor to be able to speak on what should be done with your life. And that is equally as important as being a doctor, because you're your doctor of yourself. The atmosphere, the earth, the environment, all of that belongs to every one of us. And so we deserve to live in it equally, just like everybody else. You know, if others don't want to take vaccines, it should not be a problem for those who's taking it. Because if you take it and he or she don't take it, they're the ones who's going to be in more problems. But if that's not the case, then we need to reanalyze, you know, our data or what we put in place as measures. Because before we all took it, we didn't take it, right? And then there was mandates with the mask, putting on a mask, double layers, even some did triple layers. And this mask mandate for most part of the world is still in place. But there's other people who are lifting. Our freedom has been shortcutted for the past 3 years. You see what I'm saying? And you can feel it after a couple of years as a human being. And we need to discuss what we understand we should do. You know, these things are important because guess what? We adults, if we disagree, the kids are watching. They're going to do the same thing. And it's going to be a rotating, reoccurring patterns. These patterns are not going to stop because they take generations after generations to stop. We live in a society where we can easily come to a conclusion because we put those things into place. You know, what I would like Justin Trudeau to do is to be able to come and debate with the people. You see, this is about simple communication. Talk to the people. You see what I'm saying? Show them facts, show them evidence. Don't say from a distant perspective, because if you do, what happens when you have said that is there's going to be others that don't fully understand. They don't see the concept, you know, but you cannot run. You're the prime minister. It's like you have to take care of us. You got to make these decisions for us. But sometimes you have to also explain it to us, because nobody, you wouldn't think about it. What kind of citizens would we be if we just do anything that anybody says? Right? We won't be stable. We go from left to right anytime anybody says anything. Right? And we are not like that. And nobody, I don't think, in their right mind is like that. So if we can understand that we are not this way, then it's time. Because think about it. So many businesses are basically again canceled. There's malls, right, in the country, Canada right now, that are closed, but they're essential to the society, the community, and to the country in a whole. There is Windsor, right, that is carrying about 300 million worth of goods back and forth across the border every day that's being stopped. Now, $300 million, that means in less than a week, right? In less than a week, you're at $1 billion. Almost, you know, a full week is almost 2 billion plus. dollars that we cannot afford to waste. And these are goods, people, essential things, right? Without this peaceful solution, without a peaceful solution, we are going to go further into famine. Yes, Canada usually prepares and has abundance more food than, you know, even enough to feed the world. They have abundance of food. But it will run out because every single day we use this, you know? And if those resources that come in and out the country are not replaced on time, they drive up the inflation because the cost, time, and everything, right? Business of transportation is all about time. So if we are having difficulty with that, and we're also having difficulty with transportation throughout the whole society, we're going to be in problems in a hurry. Our, like, I just feel like we're all in prison. Everybody. Nobody can really enjoy themselves fully. You only do it to a degree. But I know the back of your head, in your heart, you're feeling it when you're thinking. You're saying, am I really free? The fact that people are fighting against each other just to go and get a cup of coffee. The fact that people are already judging you in advance. It's like people are being programmed to be negative against people who they don't fully understand. And that's not right as a society, you know? Because think about it. We went through so much problems. We've been fighting each other. Or this culture or this country doesn't agree with this country. Look at Russia right now. Russia and Ukraine, they're fighting, right? Every single day, right? North Korea, South Korea. We're all humans, right? We all bleed red. We all have a heart. We all love, we care. We have children. We love children. See what I'm saying? Those of you who's, you know, a family man, father, mother, daughter, like there is so many more things that it's much more important. And I feel like these problems that we're going through can easily be solved with a wave of a hand. Remember, Pharaoh tried to suppress the Israelites for 400 years, slaved them, right? After 400 years, Jesus, Jehovah, right? Father of Father, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, appeared, right, to Moses. And Moses' destiny was to free the Israelites from Israel, you know, from Egypt. I mean, and so what did he do? One man, appointed by God, was able to, you know, believe God and push to freedom. And so he was able to dethrone Pharaoh in Egypt, just so freedom can come to the Israelites. And so today we live in a society where we're fighting such fights. Simple agreements is becoming weeks and months of turmoil. Problems, you know, with the border. I mean, business, back and forth, in and out the country. How is the airports even making money? All of these things are baffling because if you don't have enough people to be able to, you know, I mean, fly, to be able to produce, because people need to buy things. People need to go to get to place and to buy. Those are foundations of business. What are we supposed to do? Right? Think about it. Even religion has become something that it's a problem, because they close down the churches, the mosques, the temples. They close down places of religion where people go for sanity. Think about it. Wouldn't that be one of the places you want to keep open? Because if we're going through tough times of society, if we're going through tough times of the public, are we not supposed to find places where we can, access peace? You're not supposed to close down places of peace. That is where freedom is taught. That is where freedom, marinates. It grows. It teaches you about peace and happiness and freedom. But then all of those establishments were closed. So people need to recognize, when everybody has the right to choose, everybody has the right to do things. Democracy, Canada cannot be a victim of a coalition draconian government. You can't. You guys were one of the forefathers of democracy. So, Canada is the most diverse place in the world. Democracy, footprints, they actually live here. So, how now is things going to change? How now do we think that we cannot decide for ourselves what is good and what is bad? Whatever we decide to choose, right, should be our choice. Us and our maker, our family. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, right, we live on earth. God watches over us. God is more factual than science because he created that. So you cannot put aside, God and say, well, we have science. You have science, but before science, who was there? And how did science gain access to this world? How did people start to understand science? Exactly. So knowing that you only have a degree of power, and you should not use that to abuse society, because you think the intellect, is above others' comprehension. It doesn't matter. This is not an educational movement. It's about survival. When it comes to survival, everybody is a professional. Everybody fights to survive. You see what I'm saying? And you gain access because it's your body. We breathe in air, the atmosphere, but that's pollution. We can't have a problem. We can't possibly have a problem with air. We shouldn't. Right? And money should not come in the way of taking care of that. Because all of that is going to increase our freedom or decrease our freedom. No matter what inventions we create, if we don't have the freedom to be able to use it, businesses cannot be successful. So you tell me, all these establishments that are creating different types of inventions that, it's very exciting, it's a new cut-edge technology, very outstanding, and of course, it's very entertaining. All of these things, right, can be created, but they have to be purchased. If the people don't have freedom to be able to do things, then how do you expect them to purchase all of this? And if you say you plan on, putting some money, universal money in place for people so that they live comfortably, but it's basic income, which means they have to do much more things in order to be able to purchase other things. But other companies don't have the time. They can't wait around because it takes too long. There's not enough people to buy, so your business can't function because you can, be very creative. You can have a lot of business, skills and talents. And, you have a very positive plan. However, all and everything has to do with people purchasing from you, people knowing you. In order to do that, you gotta be creative. You gotta find different ways in order for you to obtain a piece. Because in business, we all know it can go upside down. It takes a lot of raft in order to be stable. See what I'm saying? Why? Because those tribulations, they give you, they give you your results. And so that's how freedom is, right? Freedom, freedom, freedom. What else can people say about freedom? Other than, I miss having the opportunity to be able to go to sport games, without being questioned, or going to the store just to buy food, or, sit in a restaurant, you want to eat something. Now, you eating something at a restaurant, you have to have papers for that, right? So, sort of didn't sit right with me because, you're allowed to go inside there. What is going to fully affect you? In order for you to be affected, you have to come in contact with the same atmosphere of air as the individual, not slightly beside, but in the same atmosphere. So if movement is taking place and you're walking around, you're carrying the virus. But you can go there and buy while everybody's there. The food is not going to take 2 seconds. It's going to take maybe a minute or so, or sometimes you have to wait. And all that time, you are exchanging, air from one side to the other, because air doesn't, when you breathe it, right, and you breathe out, it still carries on. It changes process throughout your body, but it still remains air where you don't see, and it carries on. Do you see what I'm saying? So eventually you're going to breathe the same air as the person that, you're in the same space with. And so it transmits by air, transmits by coughing, by touching. There's so many ways of transmission. So my point is this: if we're able to go inside and buy food, we should be able to sit there and eat, because, we're still breathing the same air. The point is, freedom is natural. It is something that God has given us, and God's not going to change that. Those who fail to understand this concept and they fight people, or they try to confuse the world so that they can absolutely fully take over, God would never allow that. It will take some time for him to intervene. However, he will always do it. You can't be successful, right, if you don't have freedom. You cannot. If you think that you are being orchestrated as a human being to become a robot in order to achieve success, that should be a choice that you make. If it's a choice that's embedded into place where, I understand, growing up, you got to follow rules, instructions. Why? Because these rules and instructions help you to become a better expert in democracy, into understanding that everybody is equally important. Whatever decisions they make, sometimes it's not the best decisions. However, understand that your decisions come with consequences. And you see, even if people say, oh, well, what about, it's not about you, it's about others. Like I explained earlier, it's not about others, it's about you. What you decide to do is to protect yourself, right? The best way possible. Do you see what I'm saying? Protecting yourself the best, safest way possible should be decided by the individual. Not everybody have the same insurance company, right? Exactly. So you cannot say, well, this is the insurance and that's the only insurance and we're going to go with that. Because there's other insurance companies. There's other ways to protect yourself. We are natural people. We should solve these issues naturally. Because naturally, it's made and created for us. And the thing is, we have all the data knowing what we can take in order to, fully protect ourselves. But we like to do it more complicated way. I mean, natural where it can continuously grow and we can advance. Or unnatural, which is artificial and we have to always create, where it's poisonous in most cases, right? And it's not as beneficial as the natural substance. Because naturally, God created, and as much creation as we can create, we cannot do it better than God. Because He influenced us all. All of us, He gave us life. Look at all the technology we're able to create. I hope we're not going to use the creation of our technology to, go to war. World War III is taking place, but it's not the war of, where we know as war, everybody goes to battle and they stay in the field and they're fighting back and forth and possible invasion of countries and nuke and all of those things are the old. Like I said, World War III is more intellectual war. Society, basically like entities versus entities, establishments after, versus establishments, countries versus countries. Everybody has a target. However, when they look at the other side of the target, it's also a human being that eats, drinks, talks, does everything just like them, whether they're the same color or not. Like I said, there is difference about us because we're supposed to learn about each other. We're supposed to, right, carry solutions. And we're supposed to have problems that these solutions from different cultures solve. There's a lot of things that are different than what we know. So solving these things has everything to do with, adapting to each other, understanding each other. That is the only way we can progress as a society. We cannot progress if we're trying to speed fast, deceive. It's a deception when, professionals are having difficulty explaining to, simplified minds. If you can explain to a 5-year-old and the 5-year-old can simply understand what you're saying, then most of the time you're telling the truth. But if you cannot even explain simple equations on why certain things are the way they are and why it needs to be, right? And why that choice is the best choice. Because if we try it and it doesn't work, then we should do other things. Businesses are in shambles. People in Ottawa are suffering. Not just the protesters, I'm talking about people living there. So it's a lose situation. We need to debate because Canada's history or future is on the line. We're not a violent country. See what I'm saying? We're the most peaceful. How much people we accept every year? How much refugees? How much people do, how much donations does UNICEF receive from Canada every year? How much lives have people changed? Histories, generations. All these things cannot go to waste simply because we refuse to understand each other. We should have a debate. We should talk about our insecurities and really look at the science and the factual and what is beneficial to us. Because at the end of the day, we could all read, right? It doesn't even matter if we don't fully understand it. Explanation should be simple as ABC. If it cannot be simple as ABC, then we have a lot of problems. But I know characteristics of freedom is resilience, is being motivated. We are special. And any special being deserves to what? To do what they want to do. As long as it is not infringing on others' rights. I don't think, right? I don't think if you don't take the vaccine, you're infringing on the rights of others. Because others that have taken it is protected from you. You see what I'm saying? I look at this terminology as this, okay? You want to go outside. It's snowing outside. So one person decided that they want to wear a jacket. The other decided they don't want to wear a jacket. Fine. But you need to go outside. You need to go to where you're going. So what happens is the one that's wearing the jacket is not going to be sick, right? Why? Because they're not going to get cold. They're already prepared and they're safe. Okay. So now the person that did not wear the jacket is going to be sick. But understanding that, you might say, well, the person that is sick can then give it to the person who's not sick because, they reach the same vicinity. Well, you protect yourself. Everybody has an immune system. What you can do is, research how to improve your immune system on a daily basis, because there's a lot of things that take place that, hinders a lot of understanding. So if we choose to, what's it called, to not take it, then you should improve your immune system, because that is going to protect you from what you cannot see, right? You can feel everything, but if you're protected, the attack on your body on the hours of night when you're sleeping, right? Because usually that's when viruses, come out and fight you. They stay dormant during the day because it's most active, and then nighttime, when you're fast asleep, it's working, fighting against you. So, what do you guys think? I mean, freedom, should it be, something that it gets taken from us that we shouldn't have? But then God gave us a free will. That goes hand in hand with freedom. Free will, being able to choose. If God is telling us that we can choose whether Him or anybody else, and what we choose is what happens, how come we, the humans that are created by God, can't do the same thing? We could. See what I'm saying? We cannot put our faith in humanity just like that. We have to put our faith in a higher power, because we came from higher powers. This universe is very, very sophisticated, but we are more sophisticated than anything in the universe apart from God and the Trinity, So that should give us a very, quick insight about what we should do. Because God will more likely want us to solve it. And I'm telling you, these protesters, right, those who disagree with this freedom, right, freedom rallies, right, they're fighting for their freedom. And I believe they have an equal right to do so, because we're all people. I mean, look, you think that they're doing this for fun, for a joke? They bring their children. Think about it. Kids should not go to school, wear a mask, full out playing and fighting. They shouldn't. You see what I'm saying? You know that. I mean, they need more social skills, right? Because what you train kids, or what you train society, over time, you're going to get those results. But remember, we had many problems in so many sectors before this situation popped off, where, before COVID. And now all these problems have significantly, increased. And so we need to find better solutions. And solutions shouldn't make us stay inside. We should be able to, do things, but respectful means. I just think, okay, if you guys put in the mask mandate, don't take it away, right? And let the people that have taken it go on and keep protecting themselves. And those who haven't, let them swim. Let them fight it on their own, right? And sign a waiver saying that, you understand the concept, and this is your reasons of disagreement, and if anything was to happen to you based on these studies, if you're infected by COVID, they should not do any further investigation due to the fact that you succumbed to death by COVID. Very simple. Instead of wasting billions of dollars, because we do need the money as a country. Look how much people on the streets, right? Not just here, but look what's going on in the world. People are dying of hunger when we're wasting billions of dollars just because we can just have a conversation. Hmm? Freedom is what we need. Freedom is what is going to stay. There are so many things that people say about Canadians. However, when it comes to push and shove, it's always you're seeing the Canadians. See what I'm saying? You're always seeing them. And you know, they're doing it in a nice way too. Think about it. That's how skilled these Canadians are. You know? They're doing it in a nice way. Imagine that, eh? The protesters, they're feeding the homeless. You know? They're doing so many good things. Despite, you know, the change of analysis with the media and so many things. But, I mean, it's very simple. This could end in 24 hours. We already have about what, 95 or something percent vaccinated rate. So let people go back to what they're doing. You see, I always said, because you, Justin Trudeau, you are the Prime Minister of Canada, you are also all our fathers, whether we like it or not. So, you cannot teach us that whenever we come into a disagreement, you're gonna storm off. You're gonna disappear. We need your knowledge, your wisdom. We need you to explain to us why this is going on and tell us the real reason. You know, people are saying that because of the money that you're getting, you're holding the country captive of their freedom. It doesn't matter. Money is created from trees. Your position is far more important than any amount of money that's given to you. Look at your accomplishments. Look at all the things that you have done for us. Now that you're probably in your last term, you don't want it to be where we're looking at, oh, this Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was like the worst Prime Minister ever in the history of Canada. When we all know, you know, you can do much better. You can. You see, release the freedom for us. Because not everybody have the means. Think about it. All these mandates are put in place. Some people follow, some people don't. But regardless, if everybody follows, there's still going to be people out there that don't follow, right? Homeless people, not just them, but there's so many people, even at the protests, they're vaccinated. They're just fed up of all these rules. You know, and we can't halfway do things. We gotta fully do it. You see, the wrong take on these measures was taken wrongly at the beginning. You know, what we shouldn't have done was, if we knew it was going to spread that quick, we should have just shut everything down quickly. We know now we have enough money to have settled everybody because we're still settling people. You see what I'm saying? So if we shut down everything, then we can organize and fix this within 3-4 months. Now, it would have been 3, 4 months of the hardest, the nation of Canada would have went through, but it would have solved the equation, and we wouldn't have to revise this equation or this problem because it's growing by the day, you know? And things that usually grow day in and day out has a lot of, you know, has a lot of signs, warning signs. Like, what are we supposed to do if we can't even, if our leaders can't even talk to us properly? It's our money and our support is what carries all governments. You know what I mean? We can't just say, oh, we are going to do this and that's it. You got to come up with a better answer because remember, you're talking to a very educated society, right? Whether they fully finish school or not, but they're educated in up-to-date knowledge of how society is because of how we live as a nation and what rankings we're ranked in, because our rankings show that we're a first world country, shows that we're the most diverse country in the world, shows that we're the most caring country, we're the most nicest people in the world. And it shows that we have a solid foundation in democracy because we have expressed that throughout the world. We taught others how to function in their society, in their cultures, through our methods of democracy. And now you're going to tell us that, all of that was false and we're going to throw it away. That's what our forefathers grew up on. That's why you have so many people running to Canada, right? People come to Canada because they're mistreated in their country because of their sexuality, right? Not just that, maybe the government is very hostile with them, period. Not just people of their sexual natures, but they're hostile with people there on treatments, Think about it. Some places in the world before didn't have women driving. See what I'm saying? So you tell me, and we look back and we're always pointing fingers and saying, yo, these people don't know what they're doing. These people are not doing the right things. It's not right to treat human beings like, they're just a piece of log or nothing. It's not right to do that. So think about it. We set up organizations and plans in order to, to fix these problems. And now we look like we are heading to that situation where we don't care about how people are, who they are. We don't respect their differences or what they believe in, what they tend to care about, what they love, and what makes them different. We're saying we're ignoring that. No. You see what I'm saying? That defeats, the Charter of Rights, freedom. It defeats that. All of these countries are fed up. Everybody's fed up. You can't fly because of this. You can't do this. You can't take a train. You see what I'm saying? But yet you can go in the mall, buy something, walk around for hours. Even when you buy food, you can walk and eat inside the mall, and there's no problem with that. So the rules contradict each other. And we are smart enough to understand when something's not right and you have a gut feeling, it's right. If you have a gut feeling that something is not right with this because we are taught to learn from sense. What makes sense works. See what I'm saying? Only what is different is spiritually. Spiritually, what makes sense physically won't make sense spiritually. And spiritually, what makes sense spiritually could not make sense physically. But it's different worlds, different rules. And so if we understand this, then we should have freedom. You know, Martin Luther King Jr., right? Or Senior, Martin Luther King. He's a legend. He talked about freedom. He talked about nations connecting with each other, being able to do things, you know, without having to, you know, judge people based on the way they look. You understand? Must judge you based on your character, the things that you do. Because skin color is not something you choose when you come to the earth. It is chosen by your genetics, who your parents are. Their genetics mix. And certainly you can't choose the family you're born into. Because guess what? You're going to be created. The Creator always gives life. Creator reserves life, preserves life, and the Creator takes life. See what I'm saying? But when the Creator is taking life, you're not dead. He's just taking your organic body, which is your spirit, right? Because your physical body is just a shell. So are we free? Like we should. Is freedom our God-given right? I think so. If we have no freedom, we can never achieve anything. Because we're always going to be judging each other. We're always going to be pointing fingers. Oh, that person is not right. You know what I mean? We're actually fighting 2022, you know. We're actually fighting each other because, oh, this person is not wearing a mask. Fighting each other. People getting arrested. Police have to come, arrest them, bring them over mask. Madness, you know. Right? So you tell me, this wasn't a problem 3 years ago. 3 years ago, doctors, nurses were wearing masks because they do operations. They take care of patients. All of these things. But now, society. But we need to fix because there's a lot of antsy behaviors in society. There's a lot of confused people. People are not going to always act rationally because it's not a rational situation. See what I'm saying? It's not a rational situation. You tell me. Freedom. We have the right to be free. We have the right to do what is good. You know? Tell me. God will judge us by ourselves, right? He will judge us by himself and by ourselves. Nobody is going to stand in front of God while judgment is with 2 people or 3 people. It's just going to be themselves, not their parents, not their grandparents, right? Just them and God. Okay? So, let me know what you guys think of freedom and how freedom has been affected in society today. Thank you for tuning in to my long segment. I hope you guys enjoyed it. comment, like, share, and let me know what you guys are thinking. Okay? Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye now.